21 more cruise secrets the cruise lines hope you never learn. A cruise that looks like a bargain can end up costing hundreds more without you upgrading a single thing. That doesn't happen by accident. Cruise lines rely on timing, silence, and small decisions most travelers never question. Today, we're breaking down 21 of those decisions, so you can spot them before they cost you. Most people think they understand cruise pricing because they've booked a few trips. The reality is, the price you see first is rarely the price that matters. 1. The fake price you're trained to ignore. That eye-catching cruise fare isn't the price, it's the hook. Cruise lines anchor your decision with a low base fare, then layer in port fees, taxes, gratuities, and service charges after you're emotionally committed. By the time the total appears, your brain compares it to the anchor, not reality. That gap is deliberate. Here's the quiet truth. Fees can add 30 to 50% without improving your experience. That's not inflation, it's design. Pause before you click. Always calculate the all-in cost before comparing cruises. Base fare plus fees, tips, and add-ons. 2. The worst day to book. It's not obvious. What if the most common booking day is also the most expensive? Many people book cruises on weekends when demand spikes and algorithms feel zero pressure to discount. Cruise pricing isn't fixed. It breathes with demand. When interest rises, prices quietly follow. Here's the double hit. Higher fares and fewer perks. That's the tax on convenience. Timing beats intuition. Track prices midweek and set alerts instead of booking emotionally. When demand dips, incentives appear. This next point isn't about where you go or when you travel. It's about how the booking system decides who pays more. This next point isn't about where you go or when you travel. It's about how the booking system decides who pays more. 3. Early booking versus last minute. Who really wins? Cruise lines reward commitment and desperation, but punish hesitation. Book too early and you overpay for certainty. Book too late and you risk cabin leftovers. The real winners are strategic early bookers who monitor prices and late bookers with flexibility. The losers? Everyone in the middle who assumes prices only go up. Silence costs money. Book when perks are strongest, then reprice relentlessly. If the fare drops, request credits or upgrades. 4. Cabin location is a psychological weapon. Picture this. 2 cabins, same size, same price, same photos online. One sleeps like a hotel room, the other vibrates, echoes, and never fully goes dark. Cruise lines don't sell cabins. They sell categories, knowing most people won't think vertically or horizontally on a ship. What's happening is behavioral sorting. Less desirable locations, near elevators, under nightclubs, above engine rooms, are priced to look like deals. Once booked, regret feels unavoidable. Ships don't feel symmetrical. Before booking, cross-check cabin numbers against deck plans and activity schedules. 1 minute of research avoids 7 nights of frustration. Some offers sound generous on the surface, but make a lot more sense once you see who they actually benefit. 5. Why free upgrades are rarely free. A free upgrade sounds generous until you realize why it exists. Cruise lines upgrade selectively to protect higher-margin cabins while filling ships efficiently. If you're upgraded, it's usually because your original cabin was needed, not because you won. Here's the hidden trade-off. Upgrades often remove price protections. You might lose fare drop eligibility or flexibility you had before. The upgrade feels like a gift, but it's a redistribution. Perks follow profit. Ask what changes with an upgrade. Fare rules, cancellation terms, repricing rights, before accepting. 6. Drink packages are math traps. How many drinks does it take before unlimited actually saves money? Fewer than you think, and more than most people consume. Drink packages rely on optimism bias. You imagine vacation, you drinking constantly, not real you skipping mornings and port days. The second trap is forced symmetry. If one adult buys it, everyone often must. That doubles the break-even instantly. Calculate your realistic daily drinks, include port days, and price a la carte first. By the third or fourth night on board, many passengers feel something shift without realizing why it's happening. 7. Specialty dining exists for a reason. If the main dining room were truly excellent, specialty restaurants wouldn't exist. Cruise lines design food expectations strategically, good enough to satisfy, but never quite impressive enough to stop temptation. After a few nights, boredom quietly sets in, and suddenly the upsell feels justified. That's not a coincidence, it's menu engineering. Portions, repetition, and pacing subtly push you toward paid alternatives framed as indulgences rather than fixes. You're not upgrading, you're escaping dissatisfaction you already paid for. Scarcity creates spending. Treat specialty dining as a planned splurge, not a reflex. Sample main dining fully first, then decide intentionally. 8. Shore excursions are marked up on purpose. I once stepped off a ship and watched two groups board the same bus. Same route, same guide, same stop. One booked through the cruise. One didn't. The price difference was nearly double. Cruise lines sell excursions as peace of mind, bundling convenience with fear. Missing the ship, language barriers, logistics. What you're really paying for is risk transfer. That's valuable, but not always worth the premium. Convenience has a commission. Use ship excursions for complex or distant ports and local operators for simple stops. Cruise lines are very good at making spending feel painless, especially when it doesn't look like spending at all. 9. Onboard credit isn't free money. Onboard credit feels like a win, until you realize it never leaves the ship. Cruise lines prefer credits because they control where and how you spend. You can't save it, cash it out, or use it competitively. Behavioral economics kicks in fast. Credits reduce spending friction, making purchases feel painless. People buy things they'd normally skip, spa add-ons, premium desserts, impulse souvenirs, because it doesn't feel like real money. Restricted freedom changes behavior. Decide in advance what onboard credit will cover and ignore the rest. 10. Wi-Fi pricing is friction by design. Cruise ship Wi-Fi isn't priced for fairness, it's priced for surrender. The slowest plan is just frustrating enough to feel unusable, while the mid-tier feels intentionally cramped. By the time you reach the top plan, it doesn't feel expensive, it feels relieving. That's not about bandwidth, it's about friction. Cruise lines intentionally degrade lower tiers so upgrading feels like solving a problem, not spending money. Add the fact that Wi-Fi is often sold per device, not per cabin, and suddenly just checking messages multiplies fast. Inconvenience is the upsell. Decide your connectivity needs before boarding. If you only need messages in port, skip ship Wi-Fi entirely. This next system isn't advertised and it isn't explained, but it quietly influences how some passengers are treated. 11. The casino isn't about gambling. Cruise casinos don't exist to win money on games. They exist to generate data. Every swipe of your card tracks play time, bet size, and loss tolerance. From that, cruise lines calculate your future value with shocking precision. Here's the twist. You don't have to gamble much to benefit. Light, consistent play can trigger discounted or even comped cruises because future trips are where profits compound. The casino isn't entertainment, it's a lead generation engine. Loss leaders float ships. If you already gamble casually, consolidate play under one loyalty profile. Don't chase losses. Chase consistency. Quick pause. If even one of these surprised you, this channel is for you. I break down cruise rules, hidden policies, and things cruise lines don't explain clearly, so you know what you're walking into before you board. 12. Status matching is the shortcut that no one explains. What if loyalty you earned elsewhere could unlock cruise perks instantly? Status matching allows cruise lines to poach high-value customers from competitors, airlines, hotels, even other cruise brands. Most people never ask. That silence is profitable, because once matched, you may receive priority boarding, discounted rates, free Wi-Fi, or onboard credit without ever earning it the hard way. Cruise lines assume ignorance. Loyalty travels. Before booking, ask about status matching and submit proof proactively. One email can bypass years of grinding. Once a booking is confirmed, most people relax and stop checking details. That's exactly when pricing changes matter most. 13 fare drops happen after you book. You book your cruise. You feel relief. Weeks later, the same sailing quietly drops in price, and no one tells you. Cruise lines don't notify passengers of fare decreases because most people never check again. The system counts on post-purchase silence. Here's the nuance. Price drops rarely trigger refunds, but they can trigger onboard credit, upgrades, or refares, if you ask within policy windows. Miss that window, and the savings evaporate. This is why frequent cruisers seem lucky. They're not. They're attentive. Silence favors the seller. Track your cruise price weekly until final payment and periodically after. If it drops, contact the cruise line immediately and request a reprice or credit. 14. Travel insurance is quietly misunderstood. Most cruise travelers buy insurance to feel safe, not because they understand it. Cruise line insurance often prioritizes convenience over coverage, reimbursing future cruise credits instead of cash. That's protection that keeps you spending inside the ecosystem. The real risk isn't lost luggage, it's medical care at sea. Ship doctors are private providers, evacuation costs can exceed 5 figures, and many domestic health plans stop at the shoreline. Reassurance isn't protection. Evaluate third-party insurance that covers medical evacuation and out-of-country treatment in cash terms. 2 clauses matter: medical caps and evacuation limits. Ignore them and savings vanish. What you're about to hear feels refined and upscale, but the experience is carefully designed to move people emotionally. 15. Art auctions are emotional theater. The room buzzes. Glasses clink. A gavel taps. Applause erupts as prices climb. Cruise art auctions are staged to feel prestigious, but pricing often floats far above market reality. Here's the trick. Artificial urgency. Once-in-a-lifetime framing plus social proof lowers skepticism. Buyers confuse atmosphere with value. Most art offered can be purchased on land, often for less, without shipping delays or ambiguity. The auction isn't about art appreciation. It's about emotional momentum. Emotion inflates prices. If you love the art, take photos and research it later on land. Appreciation grows with patience, not pressure. 16 port days empty the ship on purpose. One of my best cruise days didn't involve leaving the ship at all. While thousands rushed ashore, the pool deck emptied, lines vanished, and staff suddenly had time to talk. It felt like a private yacht, on the same ticket. Cruise lines build itineraries, assuming most passengers disembark at ports. That creates intentional scarcity on board the other days, making everything feel crowded by comparison. Port days quietly reverse the equation. This isn't about skipping destinations. It's about choosing when to enjoy the ship you already paid for. Crowds are optional. Pick one low-priority port and stay on board intentionally. Use the spa, pools, and dining during peak shore hours. Families often see this offer and assume it means one thing. The fine print usually tells a different story. 17. Kids sail free isn't what it sounds like. Kids sail free is technically true and strategically misleading. The base fare might be waived, but taxes, port fees, gratuities, and add-ons still apply. On some sailings, kids end up costing nearly as much as adults. Why offer it at all? Because families book earlier, cancel less, and spend more on board. The promotion exists to stabilize revenue, not reduce your bill. Availability is often limited to off-peak dates, specific cabin categories, and restricted inventory. Free has conditions. Compare total family cost across sailings, not just promotional labels. Run the numbers both ways. 18. Auto gratuities are adjustable. Almost no one knows. Did you know cruise tips aren't as fixed as they appear? Auto gratuities are standardized for simplicity, but they're not untouchable. Cruise lines rely on social discomfort to keep them unchanged. Behind the scenes, gratuities are pooled and distributed in complex ways, not always directly to the crew you interact with most. Adjustments don't mean stiffing staff, they mean aligning payment with service reality. Discomfort enforces defaults. If service is exceptional or lacking, visit guest services and ask how adjustments work. Make informed choices, not automatic ones. By this stage of the cruise, the system has been quietly learning your habits and preferences. 19. Crew behavior changes based on data. The service you experience on a cruise isn't random, it's informed. Every purchase, booking choice, and interaction quietly feeds a passenger profile. Crew members don't see dollar amounts, but the system flags spending patterns, preferences, and engagement levels. That's why some guests seem to get remembered faster, offered extras sooner, or receive more proactive attention. It's not favoritism, it's data-driven prioritization. Cruise lines optimize service where return is most likely. This doesn't mean overspending to be treated well, it means being intentional and consistent. Patterns beat moments. If you value service, focus spending in one or two areas instead of scattering it. Consistency signals engagement better than impulse splurges. 20. Dynamic pricing is taking over cruises. Cruise pricing used to be seasonal, now it's algorithmic. Fares shift based on demand signals, browsing behavior, cabin inventory, and even regional interest. Two people can check the same sailing and see different prices days apart. This mirrors airline evolution, but with fewer consumer tools. The upside? Flexibility is rewarded more than loyalty. The downside? Hesitation gets penalized. Cruise lines increasingly price behavior, not just cabins. The future isn't fixed fares, it's responsive pricing. Static thinking loses. Clear cookies, compare devices, and track fares over time. Treat cruise pricing like airfare, not hotels. If you only remember one idea from this entire video, this is the one that puts everything else into perspective. 21. The meta hack that beats every other trick. Every hack you've heard works only temporarily. The real advantage comes from understanding incentives. Cruise lines make money before sailing, during sailing, and after sailing, and each phase has different priorities. When you know why something is offered, you stop reacting and start choosing. You don't chase deals. You recognize leverage. That's why frequent cruisers seem immune to traps. They're not smarter, they're aligned. Incentives reveal exits. Ask one question before every purchase. Who benefits more, me or the cruise line? If the answer isn't clear, pause. One question outperforms 20 tricks. Cruise lines don't win by charging more. They win by charging quietly. Every fee, package, and perk exists for a reason, and once you see the system, it's hard to unsee it. The goal isn't to avoid spending, it's to spend intentionally, where value actually exists. If even one of these surprised you, that's not an accident. Cruise lines rely on most passengers never learning this stuff. This channel exists to break down the rules, policies, and quiet changes that actually affect your trip before you ever board. I post videos like this every week, so you're never the one finding out too late. This video is for informational purposes only. It is not professional travel, medical, or financial advice. Always consult qualified experts before making decisions. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.